Hello and welcome back. Susan Zummo here, intuitive and originator of soul patterning harmonics. This week, I hope you have enjoyed the energy that came in through the Lion's Gate, and I hope you have been working with it. It's funny that when I was tuning in this morning to see what we were going to be talking about, what I heard very clearly was that the path that we are on is an expandable and contracting path, and it is not static and movable in many different directions. Well, that got me curious, and I wanted to know about that. And so the way that it was described to me was shifting timelines, moving time, not just moving timelines, but moving time. So we know that time is a perception that we have, and that it can expand and contract based on our perceptions and our free will. If we know that we need to do something and we do not do it, it elongates the timeline. If you know that you need to accomplish something in your daily life and you procrastinate it, then the length of time it takes to get done becomes longer. Well, metaphysical life, spiritual life, energetic life is the same way. If we attend and focus to those areas within us that we need to, timelines tend to speed up for us. If we avoid focusing on them, or we avoid doing what needs to be done within us, such as taking care of self, loving self, being kind to self, bringing compassion and opening the heart in our daily lives, then timelines are elongated, and it takes longer for us to accomplish the world that we wish to see. And we can see this play out in events outside of us and in the greater world. I don't know a single person who had their life planned out, and that life turned out to be exactly the way that they planned it. Whether it was a soul plan, a conscious plan, whether it was a combination of both of those things, life has a way of changing our directions, changing our timelines. Now, if we remain focused on our soul purpose, on the things that are of a priority to us, such as love, compassion, healing, kindness, right? Light, bringing in beauty, right? Self-care. Those things will keep us on our path, even though other things may come in along our individual timelines. So the reason that we're talking about this is because I know that I'm an impatient person. I know a lot of us are impatient. We want to see things happen. As soon as they come into our consciousness, we want it over and done with. I've learned that life is a process. It is a progression. And the things that come onto our timelines as we progress through life are either there as a result of our own creation, or they are there as a result of something that our soul wants us to experience and learn and grow from. Whatever comes onto your timeline, whatever timeline you find yourself on, whether it is expanding or contracting, I was told this morning that we will all end up where we are supposed to end up, and that we have a big hand in creating that timeline and creating the length of time that it takes for each of us individually. However, I was also reminded that we need to give ourselves grace. Even though the mind thinks that we can do it instantly, the mind is not the part of us that has to release the emotions, that has to grow through the turmoil. The mind is up in the ethers going, of course it's simple, why can't you do it? The mind thinks, the mind does not feel, and the mind does not experience. It thinks and it records, and then it spits out the information that it gets from that thinking and that recording. Observation, right? That's what the mind is all about. The mind observes something and comes to a conclusion. But the mind is not the part of us that must act on what it knows and what it sees. So as our timelines are shifting, as time is shifting, I was reminded today to have faith, to trust in our process, to trust in the greater plan, not the plan that is laid out by men and mankind, but the plan that the soul has, the greater plan that God, Creator, Source, has. And that plan is to bring us back into complete love, to bring us back into complete oneness. And that is what we are here, and that is what we have come to learn. And I was also reminded that no learning is ever lost. Everyone takes the time that they need to take to get where they need to get there. Some people like to get on a plane and they like to fly and be there in an hour. Some people like to get in a car and they like to drive and make stops and get there in 5 hours. Some people like to take a train with many stops and get there in 3 days. Eventually, everyone gets there. How we get there has to do with our own personal preference, our own abilities to learn and to grow to the best of our capability. So if you are not in the place that you desire to be, ask yourself, am I procrastinating? Am I not looking at what I need to look at? Am I avoiding dealing with what I need to deal with, meaning healing, releasing, loving, caring, right? Otherwise, we can ask the question, have I done everything that I need to do? And now it's up to the rest of the greater universe to do its part. I give it over to Creator Source and believe in divine timing. In the meantime, I continue to grow, I continue to bring in light, I continue to expand love, and I continue to enjoy where I am at the moment, rather than wishing to be somewhere else. These have been tough lessons in my life. I don't know if they are tough in yours. I have the ability to see down the road. And because I can see it and I can feel it, I become frustrated when it's not here in the now. And so for me, time expands into a very long process. And then I remember that it's my perception. I bring my awareness back to the now, and I focus on the things that I have to tend to here and the things that I can enjoy here. And then I am very kind with myself and very loving with myself, and just say, you know what, it's okay. It's okay if you're impatient. Look at this instead. Focus on this over here. Redirect myself. All of those things will help us as we are shifting timelines. I saw an image of us walking on ropes, big thick ropes that move and sway and shimmy. And as we move from rope to rope to rope, we are shifting, we are adjusting, we are rebalancing. Time is moving and flowing. The path is not a flat, static stone path that we would like it to be. And so we must flex, we must be limber mentally, emotionally, right? And physically as well. We must adjust. Not adjusting is very painful, and it delays progress. It elongates that timeline because then we have to go back. Time slows down when we have to go back and attend to something that we wouldn't want to originally. And that makes us feel that we are behind, that we are running to catch up now. And so this is a very long way of saying it's okay if your life has not become the life that you had planned for yourself. What matters is who you are. You know, I heard a very old Moody Blues song in which they said, in the end, You will be what it is that you want to be. And I always thought that was a very true statement. We determine a lot of who we are. We become who we want to be. Sometimes we become who we are based on a lack of choice, based on giving away our choices and our freedom and our free will. If we want to be sovereign, then we must love ourselves enough to be sovereign. If we want to experience a positive future timeline, then we must act and we must be who it is we want to be in the end. I thought that was probably the most sage advice I've ever heard in a music song. And I took it to heart, and I hope that you do too. We have a wondrous path ahead of us. We have multiple paths ahead of us, and many of us will be jumping back and forth between them. Lots of us teachers do that already. We jump on a path, we work on it for a while, we jump to a different one. Many artists, musicians, and creative people do the same things. Even those who are in the everyday workaday world do that. They change careers, they change jobs, right? They change residences, they change location. Change is something that humanity craves to have and yet fights against at every turn. Timelines are changing, and time is changing too. And we can absolutely flow with those changes. We can ride those waves, and we can support one another as we do that. So I'm going to remind you that we will have a Higher Consciousness Cafe in September. I have new workshops and events coming up in September and October. In November, I will also be offering a Soul Patterning Harmonics workshop for those of you who may be interested in that. These are all virtual, they're all online, they're very experiential, and everyone who has taken them has benefited greatly from them. I'm also going to remind you that I do have the Foundation's workshop up, and if you reach out to me, there's more information on my website. I think you'll find it very, very beneficial, and I would encourage everyone to take it. You can take it at your own pace, and it will really make a difference for you. So until next week, as we ride the wave of energy together through the rest of the Lion's Gate and into September, where things are really going to pick up, I wish you many blessings.